Today I'm sharing about the upcoming Pisces full moon on September 10th. We're going to talk about how to best work with the energies of this full moon to manifest the highest and best outcomes in our lives. But first, if you are new to my channel, welcome. My name is Adrianne DeCotes, and I'm a manifesting coach and intuitive guide. And here on my channel, we talk about getting into the flow and manifesting with ease. If that is something that you are interested in, then I invite you to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so that you'll be the first to know when I publish new videos. In this video, we will talk in general about the energy of the full moon as it relates to manifestation, and then also, of course, laser in on this specific upcoming Pisces full moon. I've been working with astrology cycles in my manifesting practice for years now, and the full moon is especially a fun cycle to look at because it's definitely a sign of manifestation, or it's an energy that's really associated with manifestation. Why is the moon a planet of manifestation? I think the reason is because it is not only the closest celestial body to us and to our experience here on Earth, but it's also the one that moves the fastest. So the moon moves through the zodiac, it changes signs every 2.5 days or so, and it makes its way through the entire zodiac within about a month's time. So that means within about a month's span of time, it's made aspects to all of the other planets and also to all of our personal planets. So it's kind of like a translator of the energy of what's going on with these slower moving planetary cycles, and really bringing it more close to home with our personal experience. Symbolically, the full moon it represents manifestation because that is when the moon has reached its peak. It's when it is at its full brightness. And so symbolically, that can correspond to the aspects of our lives that we are working on bringing to their peak or to their full culmination as well. And then the other thing to be aware of with the full moon is that it not only can relate to a cycle of culmination or of completion that relates to the previous new moon that happened just a couple of weeks ago, but also the full moon energy, you want to take a look back at the new moon that also related there, that happened in the same sign as the full moon, which is about usually 6 months prior to the full moon. So it can also represent a culmination of events that started about 6 months ago. So for example, with this upcoming Pisces full moon on September 10th, you will not only want to be reflecting back on what may have been initiated around the recent new moon in Virgo on August 27th, but also you want to think back to around March 2nd to early March, late February, that time frame when we were in Pisces season and we had the Pisces new moon. That was on March 2nd. And think back to what you may have initiated or started around that time, which may be coming to a full manifestation, a culmination, or for which you may have new insights around. So for example, for me, Pisces is my 6th house in my astrology chart. And so around the springtime, I was getting into some new health routines and some new dietary practices. And so that's an area of my life that I'll be looking to around the time of this upcoming full moon to see how I can connect that back to what I had started about 6 months ago in that area of my life. So let's talk a little bit about the energy of Pisces, where this new moon is happening within. Now, Pisces, first of all, it is a water sign, which makes it a highly emotional type of a realm or an energy to partake in. And so with this full moon, it may be the kind of culmination or manifestation that we are seeing may be on more of an emotional level, or part of what may need to come up or what may need to be looked at is an emotional situation. Let me say a little bit more about this. The other thing that I feel could connect to this is that Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac as well. And so really like the energy of Pisces can be around this energy of transitioning out of one cycle and being ready to start fresh with the Aries energy, with the beginning of the zodiac. And so not only could this Pisces new moon be associated with an emotional kind of a culmination, but it may also be around an emotional release that may be necessary, or emotional insights that you may need to have about your inner life, about your emotional life, like maybe things that are weighing on you, or things that have been distracting you from your path, or things that have been emotional hindrances that you're now finally ready to release with this Pisces energy, so that you can be ready for more of a fresh start and new beginning when we get to the Aries full moon, which will be the next lunar cycle. And again, you want to look back on what has been coming up since the recent new moon in Virgo just a couple of weeks ago, but also like over the longer term, over the past 6 months, to see like perhaps even around the time of that Pisces new moon back in March that I was mentioning earlier, you may have started to become aware of what some of these emotional patterns, or some of these emotional feelings, or habits, or things like this that could use a release, or could use a new awareness around and a letting go of. And that's something that really could culminate around the time of this full moon. And it's going to be really appropriate and really healthy, because if that kind of a thing comes to a head, or comes up to really be acknowledged and released, you know it's going to be something that by releasing it and by allowing it to flow and be let go of, it's going to help you move into a brand new energy and a new freshness, because of that Pisces association as the last sign of the zodiac. As a very kind of dreamy, ethereal sort of a energy, or of a sign, Pisces is associated with our creativity, with our imagination, with our dreams, with our visions. And so what you're manifesting around this time could have some of those associations. It could be a creative project that you're bringing to completion, or it could be something that really has a spiritual kind of a quality to it, or has a sense of a much larger purpose or a much larger impact. Those are also other Pisces qualities. Pisces is the sign that is totally boundless. It's where we see ourselves less as distinct individuals, but understand ourselves as connected to basically everything in creation. And so can really be this ethereal, kind of ephemeral quality. And so the insights that you're having could be related to this. They could be more around your sense of connectedness, or boundarylessness, or spirituality, or in the imaginative realm, or also what you're physically manifesting could be in some way connected to these kinds of experiences, or these kinds of qualities. Now let's talk a little bit about the aspects to this moon being made by other planets, to examine in more detail the energies of this full moon cycle. First of all, just like always, the full moon is a opposition between the sun and the moon. And so at this time, we've got the sun in the opposite sign of Virgo. And so during this time of about a month that the sun is in Virgo, we may be experiencing a heightened sense of these Virgo energies, which are quite different than the Pisces energies of more dreaminess and kind of an ephemeral spiritual quality. Virgo is much more precise, much more perhaps organized or detailed or efficient in its focus of what it is trying to do. And so perhaps we have this Virgo vibe more easily available during this span of time. And the Pisces full moon can be a time of taking a step back from some of these Virgo, very precise, very grounded, very focused kind of pursuits, wherever that's happening in our lives, and really looking at the bigger picture of what we're trying to accomplish and how it connects to our sense of spirituality or our sense of connection to other people, our sense of the emotional resonance of what we're doing. These kind of Pisces characteristics may need to be balanced into the Virgo pursuits that we are engaged in at this time. This full moon is making a sextile to the planet Uranus. And this is interesting because Uranus is in this longer term cycle in the sign of Taurus, where it's wanting to bring innovation or revolution and new approaches in this Taurus energy of our lives, which can be a very grounded, rooted, fixed, sometimes kind of stubborn part of our lives, wherever the Taurus sign falls in our astrology birth chart. And this full moon making a pretty direct sextile to the planet Uranus means that at this time we're getting connected in, or there's an opportunity to get connected in to this longer term transformation or breakthrough or innovation that we're wanting to make in areas of our life that have felt more stable and more secure and more comfortable, which could be more of these Taurus kind of areas. And so that's something we can really lean into at the time of this full moon, is taking a look at how can what we're manifesting and what we're allowing ourselves to culminate and to gain insights into, how can it relate to kind of this larger or longer term process of innovation that's happening both within our personal lives and also within society as a whole. And an innovation with Uranus is usually about a greater sense of freedom, a greater sense of equality, a greater sense of independence, of new technology or new perspectives, really being able to improve our lives. So we can look at how the time of this full moon may be connecting into some of those larger patterns and be an opportunity to more fully ground some of those exciting, innovative breakthroughs that are potentially happening into our experience. Now let's talk a little bit about Jupiter, because Jupiter is the traditional ruler of Pisces and so is the traditional ruler of this full moon. And Jupiter right now is in the sign of Aries, although it is recently, maybe like a month or so ago, turned retrograde and started to move backwards in Aries to come back towards the sign of Pisces where it was earlier this year. Now, Jupiter in Aries is going to be an energy that really wants us to expand or say yes to new projects, to new things that we want to create more on an individual kind of level, like having kind of that Aries energy of initiative, of really like sometimes even impulsive or very energetic, like new starts and new beginnings. And so that kind of Aries energy can come into play during this full moon time. But the thing to think about with that is that it's going to be a longer term cycle of Jupiter in Aries. Jupiter has been in that sign for a few months, and it has been able to inspire us to initiate some new things in that Aries area of our chart. It's been inspiring us to be more bold in the things that we say yes to and the new projects that we start. And so over the past few months, you may have found yourself with more of that kind of fiery Aries energy of optimism, combining the Aries qualities with some of the Jupiter qualities of optimism, and really kind of like boldly and in a more fiery way going after what you want. But now that Jupiter has turned retrograde, tying that in with the full moon, it's going to be potentially less of a time of branching out into new areas. That would be more of a direct Jupiter kind of manifestation, but it may be more right now about solidifying or going back over the new things that you've been inspired to start since Jupiter has been in Aries in that part of your life. And so the full moon can be more of a time of manifesting insights about how you can make the things that you've started over the past few months even stronger or even more sustainable. The other thing that kind of connects back to this energy of reviewing and going back over what we have already started is that Jupiter is staring across the sky in an opposition to Mercury that has actually just turned retrograde just a few hours before this full moon. And so Mercury is retrograde in the sign of Libra. And this kind of an energy is also one where Mercury, it's going backwards, like Jupiter also going backwards. So kind of reviewing and reflecting upon what you have already started and what is in progress, as opposed to really enthusiastically beginning a lot of new big projects at this time. And because it's in the sign of Libra opposing the Jupiter in Aries, Libra is an energy that is more about finding balance and harmony, especially when it comes to the other people and the other situations in your life. And so there may be an opportunity at this full moon to gain insights into how you can make what you have started earlier this year even more enjoyable, even more harmonious, even more balanced, bringing in some of those Libra qualities, as well as the qualities of Jupiter in Aries, which is more of a fiery, of a like just do it, just go alone and do it kind of on your own, like that Aries singular kind of initiative energy. It's more counterbalancing that with the Mercury, which is where our mind is right now, of reflecting back on how can I make this project even more like happen in even more of a harmonious or balanced, or a way that really takes into account what other people are doing, not just singularly what I want to do. Let's take a look at a few key takeaways from the energy of this Pisces full moon. So first of all, as we just went over, this could definitely be a time of asking yourself, how could I make what I am building, what I am manifesting, what I am moving toward, even more harmonious and balanced and healthier and fun for myself? That's one area where I would look at. And then secondly, we can look at how we can make the structures of the things that we have been working on manifesting in our lives stronger, or how can we make that progress that we have made so far even more sure and steady and stable. And then another key takeaway is, what do we need to release or let go of in order to be able to better move forward, feeling lighter and more connected to our intuition and the universe? I'd love to know what you're looking forward to when it comes to this upcoming Pisces full moon. So please share in the comments below if there is anything that particularly stood out to you in this forecast, or anything that you're specifically looking forward to with this full moon. I hope you enjoyed this look at the upcoming Pisces full moon on September 10th. If you would like more insights and tips and tricks for manifesting in the flow, definitely consider downloading my free guide to the 7 Habits of Highly Magical People. I will put a link to this in the description box down below, so you can check that out if you are interested. And be sure to check out this next video all about setting new moon intentions so that you can be ready for the upcoming Libra full moon on September 25th. I will also put a link to this video in the description box down below. And thank you so much for watching. Until next time, happy manifesting.